At this time, we are in the middle of manipulating collections using loops. So far, we have seen how to take care of row-level transformations, including getting unique elements. Now it is time for us to explore how to filter the data. Let us perform few tasks to understand how to filter the data in collections using loops and conditionals. Once again, I am reiterating, I am covering these topics primarily to ensure that you gain enough programming skills with respect to Python. In real-world scenarios, we might not be using this approach. Rather, we might use high-level libraries such as Pandas, PySpark, or some other library based upon the nature of the application we are building. Now let's recollect the details with respect to orders. Data is in text file format. Each line in the file contains one record. Each record contains 4 attributes which are separated by comma. Those are nothing but order ID, date, customer ID, status, etc. We have already read the orders data several times in the past. Let me pick up the code here. So in this case, from the previous topic, I am trying to pick up the code to read the data from the file into a collection called as orders. Let me copy this and then let me go here, paste it here. Let me close this and let me run these cells real quick to get the data from file into a collection called as orders. Even for this topic, we will be primarily using orders dataset itself. We have read the contents of the file into the collection already. Now let's go through the first task, which is nothing but create a function by name get customer orders, which take orders list and customer ID as arguments. So the function takes 2 arguments. One is the list, which is nothing but orders, and the customer ID. It has to return all the orders placed by a particular customer ID. We already read the orders dataset into a list by name orders. We should be able to preview here. I have copied one of the order and created this string type object called as order. Now order contain one of the records here. To get the order customer ID, we can actually say order.split of comma of 2 like this. Customer ID is the third element and hence we can say of 2 like this. It will return the customer ID. However, customer IDs are of type integer and hence it is a good practice to typecast the customer IDs to integers before comparing with a particular value in the pursuit of filtering the data. That's why we have this int constructor and it will take care of converting the customer ID to integer type. Then we can actually compare with 12,111 here, which is of type integer. As this contain 12,111, it is returning true. If I compare with some other value such as 12,110, it will return false. If you try to compare the values with different types, even though they are same, we might still get false. You can see here. Even though we are actually comparing 12,111, this is of type string and this is of type integer. And when you try to compare integer with string, even with the same values, it will just return false. This is how we should be able to compare, and we should use it as part of the if condition while building the list which contain all the orders placed by a particular customer. Now let's go to the function get customer orders. As per the problem statement, this function should take 2 parameters. One is orders list, second one is customer ID. You can see that I have named the first argument as orders. We have to pass list for this, and the second argument is customer ID. We have to just pass a integer number with a valid customer ID. And then as part of the logic, I am initializing a empty list here. Orders filtered is empty list to begin with. And then as part of the for loop, we are actually extracting the customer ID, typecasting it to integer, and then comparing with the customer ID that is passed. If it is true, then we are appending to this list. Otherwise, we are ignoring. Okay. Now only those orders which are placed by customer ID will be part of this orders filtered, and we are returning that orders filtered here. Now let me run this and let me run this. You can see that we got only those orders that are placed by customer 12,431. If you want to get the number of elements, what you can do is you can just say len like this, and then you should be able to get the number of elements from this list. So there are 16 orders that are placed by customer 12,431. Now let's perform another task. This time create a function by name get customer orders for month, which takes orders list, customer ID and month in the form of YYY-MM as arguments and return all the orders placed by customer ID for a given month. So for the same 12,431, if we pass 2014-01 as the argument, we should be getting only these 4 records. That is the requirement for this task. So in this case, we have to check against 2 values. One is customer ID, second one is the month. Either we can use date manipulation functions, or as our dates are YYY-MM, we can also use string manipulation functions to check whether the date belongs to a particular month. Now you can see here to compare with 12,111, which is nothing but customer ID, we have to extract the customer ID, typecast it into integer, and then we have to compare like this, which we have seen earlier also. To ensure that date belongs to a particular month, this is one way where we can say order.split of comma of 1 dot starts with and then 2013-07. As it belongs to that month, it returns true. You can also use date functions, and we should be able to compare as dates also. For that, what you are supposed to do is you have to say import date time as dt, and then you can say dt dot date time dot strp time. Okay, or you can also use strf time, but in this case I am demonstrating using strp time. If you want to use strp time, you have to convert our existing date to a date, and then we have to compare. So in this case I can say dt dot datetime dot strp time of, I have to pass the date. So this is the date, and the format is nothing but percentage capital Y hyphen percentage small m hyphen percentage small d, and then percentage. Let us go back to the previous one where I have used this function with the appropriate format, and let me pick it from there. So if I scroll down, this is the format which we have to use. So I can copy this one. Let me close this, and then I should be able to paste it here. Now it will actually create the date type object. You can actually see here. Now you can actually say using this date time object, if the year is a particular value and month is a particular value. It have attributes such as year, month, and date, and hence we can say, let's say d equal to, now d is of type date time. I can say d dot year double equal to 2013 or 2013. So we have to make sure that year and month are passed separately, or we can also concatenate those two things and compare, which will make it a bit complicated. So d dot year equal to 2013 and d dot month equal to 7, and you can see that it is returning true. Also you can use this approach. So you can say f d dot year. However, you have to make sure that you lpad the month part, which is a bit complicated. That's why I don't want to take that route. But if you are familiar with the lpad type of functionality, how to get it using Python, you should be able to use that approach and compare. So either you can process as strings or dates here. In this case, I will be using the string based approach rather than date based approach. So this is how the overall condition will look like. You just have to say int of order.split of comma of 2 equal to 12,111 and order.split of comma of 1 dot starts with 2013-07. As it is the case, it will return true. However, if you use something else as part of the month or order customer ID, then it will return false. Now using that as part of this if condition in the function call, I have implemented the logic. You can see here. I have initialized orders filtered with empty list. The function name is get customer orders per month. It takes 3 parameters: orders, customer ID, and order month. Order month will be passed using YYY-mm format, and we are trying to use that as part of the starts with after extracting the date. So in this case, order elements will contain ID, date, customer ID, as well as status. Now when I say order elements of 2, it will give us the customer ID typecasted to integer here, then compared with customer ID, and order elements of 1, which will give us the date dot starts with the order month that is passed. If the condition satisfy, then we are appending to orders underscore filter, which is nothing but the list initialized here. Otherwise we are just ignoring. Now I can run this. Okay, there is a invalid syntax. I know what I have to use end here and hit enter. Probably this should work. Okay, I think I have to enclose in the circular brackets. I'm just improving for the readability purpose. Let's see if this works. Yeah, this worked. So you just have to have it in circular brackets like this so that you can actually break this lengthy condition into multiple lines. Now we should be able to validate for 2014 January, and you can see that there are 4 orders placed by this customer in the month of 2014 January. You can see all the 4 records here. Now let's look at the third task. The third task is, instead of creating the function, just to write ad hoc code to get all the orders which are placed by customer with ID 12,431 in January 2014, and status should be in either pending payment or processing. So we have seen this logic earlier. On top of this logic, we just have to add one more condition where the fourth element in each and every order is either in processing or pending payment, and this is how it will look like. Either you can use circular brackets like this when you want to line break, or you can also use this backward slash approach. So in this case, I have used backward slash approach, and you can see that this, if you have three conditions, one is to compare against the customer ID, second one is to check that date belongs to a particular month, and third one is to ensure that the status is either in pending payment or processing. If all the three conditions match, we are just printing the order here. We can run this and we should be able to see the two orders which are placed in 2014 January by 12,431 customer ID, where the status is either in processing or pending payment. This is how you should be able to filter the data using conventional loops. Once again, I am reiterating, I am demonstrating these things for programming practice. When it comes to reality, we might use higher level libraries such as Pandas, PySpark, or some other library. We will not be using the conventional loops like this. Make sure that you practice these things so that you are really comfortable with the different data structures such as list, set, dict, tuple, etc. And also it will slowly build the intuition to deal with collections a bit more effectively.